Hi, folks. Jeff Magliacetti here from Empire Sports Media and Jets X Factor, here to react to the trade that sent Alijah Vera-Tucker to the New York Jets. Vera-Tucker, of course, going with the 14th overall pick in the 2021 NFL Draft. And who would have thunk it, folks? Because a USC product is going to help the Jets offense after all. Vera-Tucker should fill in nicely on the left side of the offensive line, should probably bring an end to Alex Lewis's term in New York. I believe that the Jets actually have some cap savings afforded to them should they release Lewis. So some good, so a bit of an upgrade going on over there. And what I like about this trade for the Jets is that it shows just how dedicated they are to Zach Wilson right now, because the Sam Darnold era was just unfortunately defined by a bit of negligence. I mean, came at the end of the Mike Maccagnan era, because which placed a huge de-emphasis on the offensive line. Of course, they didn't draft. I don't think they drafted any linemen, as a matter of fact, at least not within the first 2 days, until they took Chuma Edoga during the third round of Mike McCagnan's final draft year back in 2019. So it was a bit of just a de-emphasis on the offensive line, and it didn't play well in Darnold's factor at all. And there's a reason why the Jets thought that they had no other choice but to make a change. But what I also like about this pick is that it shows that the Jets are willing to start to establish some form of continuity with their offensive line. One thing that was a little tough on Darnold was the fact, for example, not only did he have so much turnover at receiver, having only one catcher from his rookie year back, and now his tight end Chris Herndon, who was nowhere near at the top of his game, or at least at the top of his rookie game. Chris Herndon was the one receiver, the one catcher, the one guy who was catching passes for Darnold, who had still stuck around from Darnold's rookie year. And that was just 3 years. So the Jets are trying to establish some sort of continuity for their new quarterback. And another thing that kind of ruined Darnold, he took snaps from three different centers during his time in New York. Connor McGovern was the most recent one and appears to be back next year, but also it was Spencer Long and Jonathan Harrison. So what the Jets are trying to do here, they're trying to establish something new with Wilson, trying to establish a good rapport on the offensive line. And Vera-Tucker is a good way to start doing that, because as we were talking about earlier this evening, the Jets could not afford to go into week one of the 2021 season with the same exact offensive line that they had from last year's week one game. That, of course, coming against the Buffalo Bills. And, Mekhi Becton was such a good start last season to start to make up for the sins and the negligence of the Mike Maccagnan era. It was a good start, but at the same time, he wasn't going to, completely transform the team. I don't think any one single individual character out there can totally turn the Jets around at this point. But what they've done is they've made some strong additions, and Vera-Tucker should slide in very nicely onto this new offensive line. I think he should work really well with Wilson. So, and I'm glad to see, it really just goes to show you the dedication the Jets have made to themselves, because, it's still a long evening. I think we just got past the 16th pick in the draft, so we're more than halfway home in this process, just around 10:30 p.m. Eastern time. We're more than halfway home in this process, but the Jets might be done for evening. Do not rule out another trade, but what's so good about this Jets move is that they're not only willing to draft offensive linemen and use this valuable capital on guys like this, but at the same time, they are willing to move up to ensure that they get the talent they want. They have a vision, and they are willing to trade some of the valuable draft capital they obtained over the past couple of months, maybe over the past couple of years as well, to make sure that they get the names they want in front of Wilson. This is their team. We talked about it earlier tonight. This is Joe Douglas's team now, and now this is Joe Douglas's vision. He has gone out there, he has made the trades, he has found guys that he wants in this roster. He knows who he wants protecting Zach Wilson. And to go out there and make this trade with the Minnesota Vikings, it is a bit of a hefty haul, because the Jets only get the pick swap and they get the number 143rd pick on Saturdays. So it is a bit of a hefty price to pay. But at the same time, it just goes to show you, Douglas knows what he wants, and you've just seen the lengths he is willing to go to do it. And that's going to attract guys to New York, I feel. It's going to show that if Joe Douglas wants you, he is going to go out there and he is going to move heaven and earth, or at least spots on the draft board, to go out there and make sure you're a part of this team. It's a good dedication, and I think it's a nice little start to this weekend for the Jets. And this draft process, it's long. We still have 2 days to go in it, and who knows? Jets might not even be done tonight. I mean, there's nothing to indicate right now that they're going to trade anybody, but at the same time, anything can happen. But we are right now in a place where the Jets have made 2 picks within the first 14 selections, and both of those picks were used on offense because this is an NFL that worships a deity known as fantasy football. And what the Jets were doing in the Adam Gase era under a supposed offensive guru in Adam Gase was nowhere near sustainable in today's game. The Jets could not be trusted to partake in a shootout game and come out looking good by any stretch in it. But now they've made some improvements to this offense, and they look pretty good at it right. They look pretty good at it right now. It's nothing that'll probably light up the scoreboard by any stretch of the imagination. But at the same time, Wilson has a peer he can work with in Vera-Tucker. They should get along great, develop a strong chemistry and rapport on the offensive line. They have some receivers for Wilson to work with. They have an experienced running back, in addition to go with the triumvirate of youthful projects, with Tevin Coleman leading the way, and the aforementioned trio being Ty Johnson, LaMichael Pirine, and Josh Adams. So, the Jets have established some good offense, and tonight was all about the quarterback. Tonight was about finding this franchise man, bringing him in, and starting the process of making him as comfortable as possible. And Joe Douglas, once again, moves spots up the draft board to do it, willing to deal with his very valuable draft capital, taking advantage of it, and now the Jets do have something to work with. There will be some heat on this offensive line this year, and I don't think they're done with these offensive line selections either. I think you will see some more names go off this board. I believe my mock had Aaron Banks at Notre Dame. I think he's someone they could keep an eye on as well. I think he's a interior name as well to keep an eye on. So it should be interesting to see what the Jets do with this moving forward. But I think right now, I'm not going to give them a grade at this point in time because I feel that giving draft grades is the Jets are being graded on a bit of a curve right now because once again last season was just so tough, so dire, so dour that they go out there and anything they do this weekend can be considered a win. And we're looking at this through green-colored glasses in a way, through gangrene-colored glasses. And I feel that, it's a tough process to, grade anybody before they've even not only played a game, but even a single practice down out there. So I'm not going to give them a grade, but I think the Jets did what they needed to do. They needed to go out there. They needed to make tonight about the quarterback. And they got that quarterback at number 2 in Zach Wilson, and now they've afforded him some protection. An elite name from the 2021 draft, someone he can mature with together, someone with whom he can grow up with together. And I think it's going to pay off in the Jets' benefit, and it should be something really interesting to see. Once we get things rolling and get things going in training camp, and hopefully, knock on wood, some preseason games, a trio of them this year. That'll do it for my reaction to the number 14 pick of the 2021 NFL Draft, Alijah Vera-Tucker, going to the New York Jets at 14 after a trade with the Minnesota Vikings. Stay tuned to my analysis on the draft all weekend. You can follow me on Twitter at JeffJMags, @GEOFFJMAGS, and we'll talk all during the draft, and I will take some Q&As if you guys are interested, and we'll keep this up, and we'll keep enjoying what the draft gives us. So thanks for tuning in, folks, and take care. See you the rest of the weekend.